Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson. No, don't tune out. Let's talk about Tucker Carlson, Fox News host and America's dickish stepbrother. Yesterday, Fox announced that Carlson will be an even bigger presence at the network with a podcast and a series of specials. But the question is, how did Tucker Carlson become the legend that he is today? Well, to find out, here's the first installment of our brand new segment, The Daily Showography.
What makes a legendary journalist? Gravitas? Honesty? Eyes so piercing they can give you a nose ring? No. It's adaptability. And no one's better at that than Tucker Carlson. Man of 1,000 faces, but also somehow only one face. Tucker Swanson McNear Carlson. His father was a journalist and U.S. ambassador to the Seychelles, a popular vacation spot for people's money. His stepmom was an heiress to Swanson frozen foods, a heritage he still pays tribute to with his trademark frozen facial expressions. He has a brother, Buckley Swanson Peck Carlson. You don't really need to know anything about him, but how about those names, huh? Others might have tried to downplay their wealth, but downplaying was never Tucker's style.
Well, I'm extraordinarily loaded just from money I inherited. I've never needed to work.
He didn't need to work. We could be living in a world where Tucker Bronson McChad Carlson isn't on TV every night. But luckily for America, that didn't happen. After college, Tucker took his talents to journalism, rising to prominence as the liberals' favorite conservative. Everyone liked him. He seemed normal and un-white supremacist-y. Tucker Swan Lake McNordstrom Carlson took that palatable conservatism to CNN and PBS, eventually becoming the perpetually bow-tied co-host of CNN's Crossfire. There he helped steer cable news away from meaningful discourse and more towards people shouting talking points at each other like a housewives reunion. It was going great until one day when a Comedy Central extremist infiltrated the set and wreaked havoc.
Your partisan, hacks. Now, this is theater. I mean, it's obvious. How old are you?
35.
And you wear a bow tie.
Yeah, I do. I do.
So,
after surviving that ugly attack, Tucker made the difficult decision to move on. Desperate times called for desperate Tuckers, so the butterfly emerged from yet another cocoon and flew to MSNBC, where he was both respected and likable. Someone you could definitely trust, like Matt Lauer. You know who was pals with him back then? Rachel Maddow. It's weird to see now, like Emperor Palpatine going to brunch with Baby Yoda. Carlson's low-rated MSNBC gig didn't last long, but his personal brand only grew stronger. He was not going to rest until the world knew all 36 of his names. Having flunked out of TV twice, Tucker Seamus McDuck Carlson began rebuilding his journalism career by working with one of radio's most respected broadcasters, Bubba the Love Sponge, where he was able to channel his inner shock jock.
I love women, but they're extremely primitive.
If you're talking to a feminist and she's giving you, men really need to be more sensitive and just, actually, you just need to be quiet and kind of do what you're told.
I'm not defending underage marriage at all. I just don't think it's the same thing exactly as pulling a child from a bus stop and sexually assaulting that child. The rapist in this case has made a lifelong commitment to live and take care of the person. So it is a little different. Iraq is a crappy place filled with a bunch of, semi-literate primitive monkeys candidates. I called them our retarded cousins.
She just does seem a little Yeah, I mean, you said it. I'm just agreeing with you.
One thing couldn't be denied. Tucker Carlson said all that out loud, on purpose, knowing other people would hear him. Plenty of people would be proud to coast on calling women the C word, but not Tucker. In 2010, he remade himself yet again as the public intellectual behind the new website, The Daily Caller. Soon, he was ready for his most important role yet, Fox News superhero. Tucker Vanderpump McRib Carlson was home, and this time, he became something completely new, a man of the people.
Democrats have become the party of the elite professional class, eager to lecture you about open borders, global warming from their gated communities. The most privileged people in our society shouting down at Trump's voters.
Yeah.
Damn you, working class Americans! You must be quiet.
Tucker, you went to the elite schools of this country.
I did.
What we should focus
and that's why I know
on
it's a
is
scam.
It was the performance of a lifetime, an aristocrat who spent his entire adult life working in media, acting as if he had just crawled out of the coal mines and sat in front of a TV camera. And Carlson wasn't afraid to use his new clout to uplift the most needy among us, people who hate immigrants.
Our leaders worship multiculturalism because all cultures are equal, except that they're not all equal. Our civilization is superior, and we need to defend it. Latin American countries are forcing demographic change on this country at a rate that American voters consistently say they don't want. We have a moral obligation to admit the world's poor, they tell us, even if it makes our own country poorer and dirtier and more divided. Isn't it crowding your country the fastest way to despoil it, to pollute it?
Tucker Swamp Thing McGruff Carlson was like a beautiful reverse Statue of Liberty, telling everyone to get their tired huddle masses out of here. But any Fox News host could hate immigrants. In fact, most of them did. So Tucker upped the ante.
How precisely is diversity our strength? Do you get along better with your neighbors or your coworkers if you can't understand each other or share no common values? White supremacy, that's the problem. This is a hoax. This may be a lot of things, this moment we're living through, but it is definitely not about Black lives. And remember that when they come for you, and at this rate they will. We have every right to fight to preserve our nation and our heritage and our culture.
In the skull of the African here, the area associated with submissiveness is larger than any human or any other subhuman species on planet Earth.
Tucker was on fire like a cross on a black family's lawn. But as 2021 began, he was once again restless for a change. So Carlson put on yet another hat, this time made of tinfoil.
Democrats rigged the election in front of all of us, and nobody did anything about it. And what about this vaccine? Why are Americans being discouraged from asking simple, straightforward questions about it? Questions like, how effective are these drugs? Are they safe? And by the way, how much are the drug companies making off this stuff? The Biden's affection is totally real. It's in no way part of a slick PR campaign devised by cynical consultants determined to hide the president's senility by misdirection. No, not at all. Their love is as real as climate change.
A little nuts? Well, maybe. But unlike the moon landing or a 44-year marriage, you can't fake ratings like this. And while yes, at least one person did sue for defamation, a judge dismissed the case on the grounds that any reasonable viewer knows that even things Tucker says are facts are not actual facts. So whatever the future holds for him, one thing we know is that Tucker, Severus, McFly, Carlson will do it with a smile. Or whatever's going on there.
We have a moral obligation to admit the world's poor, they tell us, even if it makes our own country poorer and dirtier. What is hate speech? All cultures are equal, except that they're not all equal. What is a white supremacist?
Well, I'm extraordinarily loaded just from money I inherited. I've never needed to work.
What precisely is privilege? Our civilization is superior, and we need to defend it. What exactly is a nationalist? Our leaders are weak. If you let people spray paint obscenities on City Hall, pretty soon they are overturning cop cars. Weakness invites aggression. What is a fascist? There was no physical evidence that George Floyd was murdered by a cop. What exactly is this disinformation? All right, I gotta go. You should stick to the thigh-high boots. You're better at that. Is that sexism? This may be a lot of things, this moment we're living through, but it is definitely not about Black lives. And remember that when they come for you, and at this rate they will. Who exactly is the fear mongrel?
Iraq is a crappy place filled with a bunch of, semi-literate primitive monkeys.
Who's the racist here? The term replacement. The Democratic Party is trying to replace the current electorate, the voters now casting ballots, with new people, more obedient voters from the third world. That's what's happening, actually. Let's just say it, that's true. Democrats know if they keep up the flood of illegals into the country, they can eventually turn it into a flood of voters for them. When you offer someone citizenship, free health care, free education, housing vouchers, and free food, all things they don't have in their own country, their political success does not depend on good policies, but on demographic replacement, and they'll do anything to make sure it happens. So every time they import a new voter, I become disenfranchised as a current voter. They're diluting it. No, they're not allowed to do that. Why are we putting up with this?
What is with this guy? Who is he?
Hey, Cousin Tuck, how's it going? Feeling a bit more relaxed now that the election's over? Look, I was hoping that we could just kind of put it all behind us and get back to normal.
None of this is normal.
Yeah, I guess, but at the end of the day, we're still family. Plus, I would love to start planning Thanksgiving now that Halloween's over.
The Great Orange Emergency has passed now, and it's party time.
Woo! That's the spirit. Look, I know it's going to be really hard, but let's just try to not talk about politics at the table this year, okay?
Tens of millions of Americans suspect this election was stolen from them.
Tuck, this sounds like another one of your conspiracy theories.
Ever wonder why people on both sides are embracing conspiracy theories? Why do you think that's happening?
Because you keep saying them on TV. Do you even have evidence that there was cheating?
According to one affidavit, a poll worker saw people bringing handfuls of ballots to a Biden-Harris campaign van.
Really? They rolled up to cheat in a Biden-Harris van? That's like robbing a bank with bags that have dollar signs on them and only happens in cartoons.
We don't know how many votes were stolen on Tuesday night. We don't know anything about the software that many say was rigged. We don't know.
But we don't know for sure that Jared Kushner isn't a papier-mâché sculpture that just came to life either, but we can't assume that without evidence. Look, we're getting off topic here. Okay, this is going to be really controversial, but for Thanksgiving, I want to make a tofurkey this year. Come on, say something. Don't give me that Tucker face.
It's totally wrong, and it's crazy.
It's not crazy. Cousin Jessica's a vegan, and Aunt Eileen has high blood pressure, so it's what we're having. Hang on, Sean's joining the Zoom. Hey, second cousin Sean. I'm really happy that you're coming to Thanksgiving, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. We're not talking politics at the dinner table.
We cannot be intimidated into silence.
We need to find out exactly what happened in this election. And there are questions, and that means we have to answer them.
Not at Thanksgiving, we don't. And I'm not trying to silence or intimidate anyone. Who's trying to intimidate you here?
The 99% media mob, the Washington swamp, Joe Biden, all desperate. They want to just call it a day and stop you from asking legitimate, tough questions about the election.
Well, it's a good thing none of them are coming to dinner. Look, I know that we don't agree on things politically, but we're all family. So can we just be nice?
They hate us. They've been very clear about that for 4 years. They've never tried to hide it.
That is not true, Sean. I was very happy when you showed up out of the blue, unannounced and completely uninvited last year. It was a nice surprise.
They knew you were coming. They laughed at you when you left.
Tucker, shh. It is one day. Just give me this one day with family without yelling or fighting or talking about conspiracy theories about the election. Can we just have that?
It is a
People
national
who are not
disgrace
even alive still somehow
how some
managed
states
to vote
have
on
handled
Tuesday.
this election.
In New York,
Okay, I'm hanging up now. I'll talk to you at Christmas.
Absentee ballots.
In Michigan, hundreds of people protested and managed to push inside the state capitol.
The pro-union protesters inside the Capitol building. This is America. We're allowed to disagree with what our leaders do however we like, and we're allowed to express that disagreement in public. That's our birthright. Yes, that's America. So with the left holding the democratic process hostage, what is next for Wisconsin? Michonne Maddock participated in today's protest. She joins us. Thank you for coming on tonight, and thank you for exercising your constitutionally protected rights as an American. Bless you.
Thank you.
Pro-union protesters scream like children. Why doesn't the left make its case, win the voters of Wisconsin to its side, rather than resorting to tactics that really are contemptible?
Everyone has been talking about the threat of white supremacy in the United States. In fact, even President Trump admits that it's a major problem, which is a pretty big deal. Because that would be like if Hobbs and Shaw spoke out against speeding. Jason Statham came out like, you know what's cooler than driving fast? Going 55 and buckling your safety belt, innit? But even though most people in America have acknowledged the threat, there is one person who still isn't convinced. Fox News anchor and concerned face drawn onto a balloon, Tucker Carlson.
The whole thing is a lie. If you were to assemble a list, a hierarchy of concerns, of problems this country faces, where would white supremacy be on the list? Right up there with Russia, probably. It's actually not a real problem in America. The combined membership of every white supremacist organization in this country, would they be able to fit inside a college football stadium? White supremacy, that's the problem. This is a hoax. Just like the Russia hoax. It's a conspiracy theory used to divide the country and keep a hold on power. That's exactly what's going on.
Wait, what? White supremacists aren't a threat because they can only fill a college football stadium? My man, those stadiums hold 100,000 people. We shouldn't have enough white supremacists to fill a golf cart. That's how many we should have. We're talking about the numbers here. Oh, how many? How many of them are there? White supremacists are like babies on a plane. Even one is enough to ruin your day. And you do notice that Tucker Carlson only gives white terrorists this pass, yeah? Like after 9/11, he wasn't like, Al-Qaeda, please, what was it, like 19 people? Is this a real thing, huh? There's like 19 people. Call me when they can sell out a Knicks game, okay, Oh, and it's especially interesting that Tucker doesn't think white supremacists are a real threat, especially when you look at all the other threats that he talks about on his show.
If you're looking for threats to our democracy, how about Silicon Valley? How did we wind up with a country in which feminists do science? A country where you're afraid to touch other people is a country we don't want to live in. The way we practice immigration has become dangerous to this country. Kneeling during our national anthem, the basic symbol of our country, is an attack on the United States. Almost every nation on earth has fallen under the yoke of tyranny, the metric system.
The metric system. The metric system is a threat to America, but white supremacy is a hoax? Yo, I feel like Tucker Carlson would tell the lamest campfire stories of all time. Just be like, and then she heard a scratching sound coming from inside the door. And when she turned around, it was centimeters. Now, apparently soft-pedaling white supremacy didn't go over well with everybody. In fact, 3 big advertisers pulled out of Tucker Carlson's show after he said that. And something tells me his bosses at Fox News didn't like what he said, because the very next day, he made a surprise announcement at the end of his show.
That's it for us tonight. Tune in every night, 8 p.m. to the show that is the sworn enemy of lying, pomposity, and smugness and groupthink. By the way, I am taking several days off, headed to the wilderness to fish with my son, catch some brook trout. Politics is important. Fishing with your son sometimes more important, so I'm doing it.
Okay. Well, that timing seems suspicious, but who knows? Maybe lots of people leave for fishing vacations on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. I mean, you never know when the fish are going to start biting. You never know. And I know some people will say, oh, come on, Trevor, this is probably just a coincidence, okay? Just because Tucker said something offensive and then took a surprise vacation doesn't mean these two things are related. Okay, maybe not, but it does seem to happen a lot over at Fox.
Sudden vacation announcements have been a go-to move for Trump TV. Last March, Laura Ingraham announced a vacation after coming under fire for mocking Parkland survivor David Hogg. Sean Hannity went on vacation after advertisers fled over his promotion of a conspiracy theory that exploited the death of DNC staffer Seth Rich. Jesse Waters took time off after criticism over a lewd comment about Ivanka Trump.
If you go in hard enough, they drop the ball. It's perfect.
Yeah, very good. I'm glad he didn't run him over. Also, I'm going to be taking a vacation with my family, so I'm not going to be here tomorrow and Friday, but I'll be back on Monday, so try not to miss me too much.
Saturday also.
My favorite part is how all the Fox hosts try to casually slip it into random conversation, you know, sort of like how you used to buy condoms in high school. And just be like, yeah, let me get a bag of the Doritos and also a pack of the condoms. Please get a bag of the condoms. And the cashier's like, Jerry, bring me over a box of condoms for the kid, please. I'm going to say extra small. So, almost everyone on Fox has had to go on a surprise vacation after saying something controversial. But there's one vacation on Fox that is the greatest of all time.
Bill O'Reilly took what he insisted was a pre-planned vacation after revelations he had settled multiple sexual harassment allegations.
Finally, time to factor tip of the day. Often around this time of year, I grab some vacation because it's spring and Easter time. Last fall, I booked a trip that should be terrific. Not going to tell you Where it is, I'll have a full report when I return.
And he never returned.
Oh, man. And he never returned. Doesn't sound like a guy going on vacation. It sounds like a guy who got whacked by the mob. Yeah, let's just say O'Reilly's gonna be going on a permanent vacation. I'm Chris Cuomo. Thanks for watching CNN. I also feel really bad for that one Fox viewer who's still waiting for O'Reilly to return. Because you know there's one person watching TV like, Bill's gonna have so many great stories when he finally comes back. I bet he went to Machu Picchu. Honestly, these emergency vacations have become such a staple for Fox News hosts. I wouldn't be surprised if they had their own travel agency.
Are you tired of the hustle and bustle of being dropped by advertisers? Want to get away because your bosses say you have to? Then you need Fox Vacations, the travel agency for Fox News hosts in trouble. We'll lift you off in the dead of night and bring you to an isolated spot where you can rant in peace. Hang 10 while spreading murder conspiracies. Mock shooting survivors between rounds of beach volleyball. Or just share your views on white genocide with the fish. Plus, call now for our special Forever Vacation. You'll have so much fun, you won't want to go back. Which is great because you can't. Fox Vacations. Relax, this will all blow over.
Have a great trip, guys.